Love isn't always simple, and passion often comes at a price. Welcome to Intrigue Romance, where secrets, betrayal, and forbidden desires collide. Tonight, we take you into a story you won't forget, where love is never what it seems. The evening sun cast a warm glow through the large windows of the Carter household, filling the living room with soft amber light. Olivia Carter wiped her hands on a dish towel as she glanced at the hallway light that had been flickering for days. It wasn't a major issue, but it had been bothering her nonetheless. She considered asking her husband, Daniel, to fix it, but he was deeply engrossed in his newspaper, reading glasses perched on his nose, looking perfectly comfortable in his recliner. She sighed and remembered. Ethan was home. Her 20-year-old stepson had returned from college for the holidays. It had been months since she last saw him, and their relationship had always been complicated. When she married Daniel 5 years ago, Ethan had already been a teenager struggling with the aftermath of his parents' divorce. Though she had never tried to replace his mother, their bond had remained distant. She walked down the hall and knocked lightly on his bedroom door. Soft music played inside, muffled by the closed door. "Ethan," she called. There was a pause before he responded. "Yeah?" She pushed the door open slightly and peeked in. Ethan was at his desk, earbuds in, staring at his laptop screen. His dark hair was slightly disheveled, and he looked exhausted. College had changed him. He was leaner, more mature, but his guarded expression was the same. "Sorry to bother you," Olivia said with a small smile. "Would you mind helping me with some things?" Ethan hesitated for a moment before sighing and pulling out his earbuds. "What do you need?" "The hallway light has been flickering for a while. Could you change the bulb for me?" Ethan glanced at her, his expression unreadable, before nodding. "Yeah, sure." Olivia led him to the hallway and handed him a new light bulb from the cabinet. Ethan climbed onto the step stool and twisted the old bulb out before replacing it. When he stepped down, the hallway was properly illuminated again. "There," he muttered. "Thanks, Ethan," Olivia said warmly. "You're a lifesaver." Ethan shoved his hands into his pockets, nodding slightly. There was an awkward silence between them, something that had existed for years. As he turned to head back to his room, Olivia felt an urge to say something, to break through the invisible wall between them. "Ethan," she said softly. He paused, glancing at her. "Is everything okay?" she asked. He hesitated before shrugging. "Yeah, fine." "You seem a little distant," she pressed gently. "More than usual." Ethan let out a short breath, rubbing the back of his neck. "It's just weird being home sometimes." Olivia nodded slowly. She understood. She had stepped into a family dynamic that was already complicated, and Ethan had never fully let her in. But she had never stopped trying. "I get that," she admitted. "I don't expect things to be perfect between us, Ethan. I just want you to know that I'm here if you ever want to talk." For the first time, Ethan's expression softened slightly. "Thanks," he muttered before heading back to his room. The next morning, Olivia was making coffee in the kitchen when Ethan walked in, rubbing his eyes. "Morning," she greeted, surprised to see him up so early. "Morning," he replied. "Dad's still sleeping?" She nodded as she poured herself a cup. "Yeah, he likes to sleep in on weekends." Ethan leaned against the counter, watching her. It was rare for them to have a conversation alone. "Want some coffee?" she offered. "Sure," he said, and she poured him a cup, sliding it across the counter. Ethan took a sip and chuckled. "You still put way too much sugar in this." Olivia laughed. "Guilty. Your dad complains about it all the time." A comfortable silence settled between them. Olivia couldn't remember the last time they had talked like this without feeling tension in the air. Ethan glanced out the window. "I should probably check my car later. It's been making this weird noise." "I could help," Olivia offered. "I don't know much about cars, but I can hand you tools." Ethan smirked. "You know how to change a light bulb, so that's a start." She laughed, and for the first time, it felt like something had shifted between them. Over the next few days, Olivia noticed small changes in Ethan. He lingered in the kitchen more, joined in on conversations at dinner, and even helped with small tasks around the house. One evening, as she was folding laundry in the living room, Ethan sat down across from her. "Hey," he said, clearing his throat. I appreciate you trying. You didn't have to, but you did. Olivia set down the shirt she was folding and met his gaze. I care about you, Ethan. I always have. I know I'm not your mom, but I want to be someone you can count on. Ethan exhaled, nodding slowly. I know. It's just hard, you know? When my parents split, I didn't know where I fit anymore. And then Dad remarried, and I didn't know how to feel about it. Olivia reached out and placed a gentle hand on his. You don't have to figure it all out at once. Just take your time. For the first time in years, Ethan gave her a genuine smile. Thanks, Olivia. As the holiday break continued, Olivia and Ethan talked more, laughed more, and slowly started to build a new understanding between them. One evening, as Daniel sat reading his newspaper, Olivia leaned against the doorway, watching him. Ethan helped me change the light bulb the other day, she said. Daniel glanced up. Yeah? She nodded. It was just a small thing, but it felt like a start. Daniel smiled. Give it time, Liv. He's still figuring things out. She sighed, resting her head against the doorway. Maybe changing a light bulb wasn't a big deal. But in that moment, it felt like more. A tiny, flickering sign of progress.